Joining us now, Republican Congressman from Florida, Mike Waltz. He has endorsed Donald Trump for president. Congressman, I appreciate your time this morning. Do you think at this point that every other Republican who's in the race should get out?
Well, it was certainly a historic, decisive victory, and I got to tell you, it was cold. And the caucus site where I spoke, the organizers were telling me that they were surprised at how many people came out. Look, I think it is crystal clear. President Trump is going to be the nominee. The sooner we get to that realization in the other campaigns, the better. And then we can start drawing those contrasts with what the economy looked like under President Trump, with how it is now, what the border looked like then, and how it is now with the world situation, with the world on fire right now. Just a few years ago, we've gone from Abraham Accord and Middle East peace to multiple wars across the Middle East and in Europe. So, yeah, we're ready to get to that contrast sooner than later.
Nikki Haley, who's made New Hampshire, which is next up, the centerpiece for her campaign, putting out a new ad this morning, also having a message last night of saying, look, nobody wants a rematch. If you look at the polls, most Americans don't want to see a replay of 2020. What do you say to that?
Well, I got to say the Republican Party has made it clear, and I think is going to continue to make it clear, that President Trump is the leader of the party and that we want to get back to his policies that worked and that were working for the country and, frankly, were working for the world. And I think, the premise that his opponents have been testing is, you liked a lot of the America First policies, whether it was record low unemployment, inflation down, the border under control, crime on decline, the pivot on China. But can you get all of that without him? And I've argued that you don't get SpaceX without Elon Musk, you don't get Apple without Steve Jobs, and you don't get those policies that many leaders in the Republican Party say we want to emulate, get back to, and build on without the guy who had the vision and actually executed and put them in place.
Right.
So, look, I understand what some polls say, but you couldn't get a more clear signal of momentum than you got last night with a historic win in Iowa.
No, the numbers were very clear, at least in the state of Iowa. The downside risk, though, that you've heard some candidates lay out, Ron DeSantis in particular, is that he also could be convicted over the course with the 91 criminal charges that he faces. If the former president is convicted, will you support him no matter what?
Look, with what we've seen getting laid out with this bogus, ridiculous case in New York, with what we're seeing now with the total conflict of interest in possibly corruption in Georgia, we could go down the list. These cases, people see right through them. This is a weaponization of our Justice Department, and it only bolstered support for President Trump. His numbers have only increased. So not only would I support him, I think you're going to see the American people support him.
You mentioned the Fulton County DA case, also the New York case. You didn't mention the special counsel's cases, both Jack Smith, including election interference, and the classified documents. You think those are in that same lane?
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, when we're starting to parse between legal theories, between the Espionage Act, between the Presidential Records Act, when you have over 80 cases, according to the National Archives, of senators, members of Congress, and every presidential office and office holder in the last several decades have had instances where they had disputes with classified documents, where they sent them back and forth. I think the American people see all that. Are we really going to take the leader of a party, of an opposition party, off the ballot and out of action when he's been voted in, when the American people clearly want him back in over these kind of disputes? Look, that is, in my view, scary for our democracy when you have the party in power and its Justice Department going after its chief political opponent. I've served in places as a Green Beret around the world where that happens. I never expected to see it here.
I would also note that as given your service and when you've served, if you'd taken documents and put them in a bathroom in a large box that were considered top secret, you would also probably be in trouble. Can I ask you, though, before I let you go?
Fair enough. But I wasn't the president of the United States.
No, I understand.
Governed by a lot of case law. Yeah, right.
I understand on that one.
So I don't think that's quite the same analogy.
Well, I mean,
And fair enough, if we want to go down that road, we can talk about boxes sitting in a garage, admittedly, completely unguarded. We can talk about, as a member of Congress,
I understand.
They take every document
and look,
when you walk out of a
I actually
skiff.
think this is
and now you have years and years. How did they get there on Amtrak? I mean, so there's a lot to look into.
No. Look, I understand, and I would say, Congressman, and I think I'm being entirely fair when I say this, that there is a special counsel looking into that case as well, Robert Hur, who has been assigned there, and I think there has not been an outcome yet that's announced. We certainly will cover it when it is announced. I think the analog in terms of the types of classified documents that were contained and where they were contained, I don't know if there's a lot of precedent for that, but to your point, it is a precedent, and we're going to have to wait and see how that case moves forward. Before I do let you go, though, on the political side of things, almost the entire Republican delegation got behind the former president. Ron DeSantis is the governor of Florida, had a huge re-election victory. What is your message to him right now, in particular, given the fact that he's still in this race heading into New Hampshire?
I'll get to that. I just want to say one more thing on those cases, though, and I think this is a critical point. I didn't hear about that anywhere in Iowa. I don't hear about it back home in Florida. What I hear about are kitchen table issues, and what President Trump done is cast a vision going forward. He's not looking back in the past. So we're just not hearing that at all from anybody I'm talking to. Look, Governor DeSantis has been a fantastic governor. I don't think we would have gotten through COVID the way Florida did without his leadership. What I'm hearing from folks on the ground is, they just don't understand why he didn't wait. He's a young guy with that's very bright. It's going to be an open presidential seat in 28, and a lot of people are shaking their heads. He's still got a lot of great work to do as governor, and we look forward to seeing that.
All right, Congressman Mike Waltz, I always appreciate your time, sir. Thank you.
All right, thank you.